Welcome, welcome. We are going to wait a few minutes till people enter. But for those who have joined early, well done. It always helps to where everyone is country that you are in. We will have questions throughout the process, but please use the chat box. Thank you. Welcome, asked if you guys could find the chat box on this webinar. And on that chat box, if you can please share what city you're from and what country. I'd love to see our reach and who we are speaking to. I've also shared a link for people who are struggling to log in. If you know them, please do feel free to share that link with them. Awesome, excited for this webinar. Hi, Terry from KZN SA. I'm wondering if you're here in Durban, like myself, and George. From Zambia, but originally from South Africa. I find it always interesting. People say, "Why did I move from Cape Town to Durban?" At the end of the day, it's your lifestyle. But I've never heard of someone move from South Africa to Zambia. So welcome, welcome. Nice to see people all over the place. So for those who've just joined, please find the chat function. This is going to be quite an interactive webinar. We've got some awesome guest speakers. We've asked if you could please share the city and country that you are currently joining us from. Love to see how far we are, how far our reach is. This is a really, really exciting webinar. We address international recruitment, the changes and the common mistakes people are making every single day. So it's important. Have your notebook ready. We've got some incredible speakers to make sure that this webinar is worth your time. Okay, we are still 2 minutes early. We will probably get started at 1 minute past 6. Again, if you are new here, please share in the chat box the city and country that you are logged in from. Please share in the chat box. Hi, Faraz. I see you over there.
Hey, Amy. Just playing with my lighting a little, just making sure I look pretty for all the people.
Good, 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 good. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen in the chat, we've got people from Zambia, KZN, Tanzania, all over.
Oh, definitely. Quite exciting, especially seeing how far our reach has gone from here to Zambia, Tanzania, etc. I mean, the further it goes, the more exciting it gets, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's also nice to know that, it shows the global network that we have. So for all those who are joining now, please share where you are based, where you are streaming or logging in from. Love to see the reach here. Some in Saudi Arabia. Amazing. KZN, Johannesburg, Tanzania. So I'm originally from Cape Town. I moved to Durban about 5 years ago. We've traveled all over. I've lived in Australia, I've lived in the Netherlands, and I've decided to choose Durban as my home. So all the Durbanites, well done. I can't resist a good bunny. Okay, awesome. So Sam, George, Faraz, are we all here? Ah, Tawanda, Northern Ireland. Amazing. Great. Welcome, welcome. So I've been asking those who are joining if they could please put down their city and country that they are logging in from. And then just another little serious question. How many of you, if you can use the reaction, I feel like we need to make the most of technology, have seriously considered immigrating in the last 12 months? If you can put your hand up or react, it's really important that we know that you're in the right spot. Other than that, welcome to Stop Guessing and Start Growing. How international recruitment really works today. So I'll introduce our speakers shortly, but just to keep the conversation going, Sam, if you can unmute yourself and maybe tell us, why do you think people should listen to this webinar today?
Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me. So, this is for everyone who is dreaming about getting work security and being able to provide for their children in some nice foreign currency. A lot of people don't know where to start. So, if that's you and you've been wondering how to go about getting a job abroad, we are here to help you.
Thank you, Sam. And George, what do we hope that people take from this webinar?
The immigration field, the immigration environment's changing dramatically. Everything changes all the time on my immigration side, and I'm pretty sure that exactly the same thing's happening on the recruitment side. I mean, we see it, we live it. So take what we say to heart, use it, and use us. That's what we are for.
Absolutely. So we're hoping that this webinar gives you the information that you. So why should you be here? I'm the owner of Greener Pastures. I'm originally from. With move comes new networks. For over 7 years. Helping people genuinely. We want to get them from And I'm super. I'm just going to go through it. You can. For us, he is working with Sam LaRue at Sam LaRue Consulting. He's got a background in recruitment over 9 years. His 2.5 weeks, and his longest placement was 2 years. So we don't stop. And we are super grateful. Okay, I'm going to move on. Advisor. He's been in immigration for over 12 years, registered for both New Zealand and Australia. His best visa time process is 4 days. Longest time is 6 weeks. He's well traveled, and we are super stoked to have him here also. Welcome, George.
Thanks very much. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And then last but not least, we've got Sam LaRue herself. Top global headhunter, incredible network and reputation. She's been in recruitment for over 20 years. Sam has also lived in the UK herself and traveled extensively, and she's calling in from PE. Welcome, Sam. There she is. Awesome. So, a simple question to each one of you. For us, are you with us? Just double checking there.
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. So for us, what are some simple mistakes that people are making in recruitment?
Some of the simple mistakes, and shockingly, it's the most simple mistakes, to be honest. I mean, it goes all the way from the lack of knowledge on looking for opportunities. It goes from having their CVs in the wrong format and searching in the incorrect places as well. So having a gap in knowledge, I would say, is the simplest mistake that people do generally make when it comes to recruitment. Not understanding how it works, not understanding the assistance that you require, and not having the best way forward.
Absolutely. And hopefully that we can overcome those questions today and those insecurities. Sam, what are overseas employers looking for today? I know it's quite a broad question, but basics.
That is quite a broad question, Amy. It depends on the country, of course. So let's take a look at it like this. In New Zealand and Australia, we're seeing a huge demand for trades. So a lot of people are not sure how to go about applying for these positions. And of course, in Australia, if you apply for positions, but you don't have your visa pathway clear on your documentation or your CV, they won't even consider you. New Zealand, they're a lot more accommodating, but there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do it. And a lot of the times people don't realize that in the world of AI, when you apply for something, your CV is there forever. We can see it on our recruitment databases forever. So every position that you've applied to online, your CV is in that database. And of course, trying to reapply and reapply doesn't work because it's that first impression that you made, the reason why your CV was flagged in the first place, that will keep you in the decline box. And this is where people see a lot of auto rejections and they're like, but hang on, I just applied and I immediately got an auto rejection. So we can help you understand what that process is and of course, how to get noticed and not get your CV flagged through the systems.
Absolutely. And that's important. You know, it goes hand in hand with our process. So thanks for bringing that up. George, our visa guy, how can people better prepare themselves for a positive visa outcome? George, you are on mute.
Technology and all.
There
I've
we
seen
go.
this for a long time, it's all about preparation, how you put your documents together. You'll get your money's worth in terms of service and detail put into a visa. That's without a doubt. But how do you put it together is how long it takes me to put it together. We structure it so carefully and so neatly, and we just need you to follow the process. And if you do, we've got nothing outstanding. That's what gets you those exceptionally fast visa approvals. 4 days is exceptionally unusual. It's happened once. My average is about 7-8 days, which is good. We don't want to say we're slave drivers. We're absolutely not. It's just that we need everything put together in a certain way. So the more detail you put in, the quicker it is for us to put it down and put it into the best light possible, so that you too can have one of those quick approvals.
Absolutely. And I love the saying, opportunity favors the prepared. So if you are here today in this webinar, you are taking the right step. So Greener Pastures, I work with Sam, George, and Faraz, and we make sure that you are going in the right direction without the delays, with honest advice. This webinar, just as we are recorded and people are attending, this is not legal advice. This is a general webinar about the process, the changes, and how we help clients. Awesome. So as we get into the next slide, South African immigration today. So for our audience, all the attendees, if you guys have found the chat box, please write in the chat, what country are you interested in immigrating to? And why would you look at immigration? I'd love to find your pointers while we go through this slide. Also, any questions you can pop in the chat box. I'm monitoring it and we can address it as it comes up. So recruitment over time, about 15 years ago, I read some stats on immigration. People looked at immigration, the word, as an escape route. 10 years ago, it was a great career move. And today, you have global options. People move, they come back, they get the passport, they come back, they create a lifestyle for themselves overseas. The top points for reasons that people immigrate, the changes is the people, the need to immigrate changes, recruitment processes change, their careers change, and then also the visas and the documents change, and policies. So as we go through this topic, we'll try and provide the most clarity we can to these pointers, but please pop in your questions. I see that New Zealand is quite a popular destination, as well as Australia, but there are things you need to keep in mind for this. Sam, I know you touched on it earlier with AI, but how has technology made recruitment better than it was 10, 15 years ago?
What's really nice about the latest in recruitment software is before, when people were applying to jobs, they were applying on email. And so you as a recruiter had to sift through hundreds of emails trying to find a match to the position that you were trying to fill. But lately, we've got awesome technology. It can tell us exactly which country you're applying from. It can auto upload your details into our database, and using AI, we can actually scan our database for the best possible matches to the positions that we are looking for. So it speeds up the process for us quite a bit. Now, in the recruitment world, I do a lot of mentoring to young recruiters, because when it comes to filling vacancies, it's all about speed and accuracy. So often young recruiters need that mentorship on which technologies to use, which ones are more reliable. And of course, with AI coming in, it's making recruiters more efficient and more able to pinpoint their exact needs for their role pretty quickly. Whereas before, you'd have to place a job ad, wait for 100 emails to come in, manually screen each and every one, and have to try not to exhaust yourself while trying to remember who the best people were for the job. In this day and age, AI makes that possible for us really quickly.
Absolutely. And, it helps with, you mentioned earlier the CVs and the ATS systems, and you're online forever. So your first impression is really, really important. For us, you there with us?
Yes.
Awesome. For us, I've got a question for you, which is a bit of a controversial one. But are recruitment agencies still as important as they used to be?
Oh, of course, definitely. I mean, look, recruitment agencies, we still continue to play an important role in the job market, especially today. And if you look at your specialized, your senior, or your international positions, to be more specific. So while your online platforms have grown, I mean, us recruiters, we still add value to that technology. And that technology alone cannot replace the value that we bring in. So if you're looking at items such as connecting employers with, I mean, your pre-screened and qualified candidates, and then of course it's also providing access to those opportunities that's not always publicly advertised. So knowing where to look and knowing what someone is looking for as well, that brings in a lot of value. So it's quite a competitive market, and I mean we still are there remaining to build that important bridge between the talent and the opportunity itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, the recruitment, I feel like recruiters alone are a really nice bridge between the employer and the candidate. I mean, that's basically what they source, they spend a lot of time on. So, yeah, recruitment agencies won't ever go redundant, but in what we offer with Sam LaRue, with George, and Greener Pastures, is we do a bit more than what recruitment agencies do. We represent you. And that is, recruiters focus on the employers at the end of the day. So I just want to make a comment. People are sharing countries and their reasons for wanting to immigrate. It's really important to zone into one country, but also to check that you actually meet the requirements and you qualify. Each country, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Europe, USA, they have certain requirements based off your occupation, your age, your family makeup, your qualifications. So it's really important that if you are gunning for a specific country, that you know that it's the right country for you. George, I wanted to ask you, is immigrating still about permanently leaving, or are people creating global careers instead?
A bit of both. Um, I still find that people are immigrating. They want a new country. They want permanency. They want what works for good. Everybody's got family or friends that have moved to any one of the countries that we work with, and they've been told all the wonderful stories, and none of it's fluff. There are obviously candidates that move over for careers, and then they'll move to another spot and another spot. So, for instance, we see that in the FIFO sectors, generally pretty young people don't have families yet, wanting to make heaps and heaps of money, not really always under the best conditions. So it works from sort of situation to situation, but I still primarily find it's people immigrating with their families.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I always think about if you're going to a first world country, you're reaping the benefits, safety, security, lifestyle. Why would you leave your family behind? Take them with, create a life for everyone.
Yeah.
Awesome. So our next slide is basically about people are still immigrating. So here's a nice chart about from 1990 to 2024 about South Africans specifically that are leaving. Now, there's always this conversation about, yes, but they come back. 100%. But the amount of people that are still leaving is growing. Kids want to travel. We have social media. I always get emails about helping with a yachting visa or helping with an au pairing visa, all those different opportunities that the kids are, when they finished high school, they want to travel. But what is stopping them? The South African passport and the South African rand. So, to my attendees, those who are listening in, raise your hand if you've ever Googled jobs overseas at 2 o'clock in the morning. How to find work overseas. I find it such an interesting topic. There we go. We've got loads of hands immediately. And that's, it's showing our access to the globe. You can Google those things immediately. But now, are you using your resources correctly? Now, if you were to move overseas, maybe you can complete the sentence for me. I'd move overseas if. So what is that one thing that's stopping you from moving overseas? That's something we want to overcome here. With regards to, the clients that we bring on, they are all demographics. We've got a lot of clients I've also noticed they've moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa. And from South Africa, they're just not getting the lifestyle that they want for them and their kids, and now they want to move overseas. Again, we Google the opportunities, but if we use those opportunities, they are right at our fingertips. So people mention here they would relocate or they would move overseas if I get a job offer. If I secure employment, if I get a job offer. Now, that's the big problem with immigration and the topic around it is the job offer is important, but you can't do the job if you don't have a visa. So it goes hand in hand. Okay. So let's move on to the past. So most people relied on newspapers, word of mouth, immigration expos, expensive phone calls to gather information about opportunities abroad. There was no LinkedIn, AI, or easy access to online portals. So things have changed in recruitment. Things have changed in immigration. To the audience, what is your biggest fear about moving overseas? And while you're typing that, hopefully we can overcome that in these questions. Sam, if you are still there, sorry, just holding on. Sam, you with us? Awesome. Sorry, back and forth. So what trends do you think will shape the future of international recruitment?
It's knowledge, isn't it? So with there being so much knowledge available online, people get confused. So people will see different groups and different posts saying, no, do it like this, do it like that. And then when they try that, it doesn't work. So for example, let's see if you're applying for jobs in Australia, right? Now you're farming your CV out day and night, you're hitting apply, send, but you don't have a visa pathway on your CV. So what's happening is you're just becoming red flagged into every single database that you're applying to. And this is just a simple thing that people don't know. And it's also another thing that people don't spread easily online.
100%. Yeah, I mean, social media has, I was going to ask Faraz, bring him into this conversation also, how social media has influenced the way people, their expectations about life overseas. How do you see it from your experience?
So look, it's been quite significant how it's actually shaped people's expectations about living and working overseas, to be honest. And usually it creates that inspiration, but also the unrealistic perceptions. Now you see a lot of people, and I see it quite often as well, where I see reels or I have clients that have me on social media as well, and they send me reels of these people that have moved over and they have successful careers, higher salaries, the travel, the lifestyle, and all of these items, which can make relocating abroad seem easier and a lot more glamorous than it actually is. But I mean, social media has helped to increase that awareness for those global opportunities, but it's also led people to underestimate some very important factors, such as the challenges of visas, relocation, the immigration process, the cost of living and the financial pressures abroad, cultural adjustment, and workplace differences. You can also look at, let's say, the competitiveness of the international job markets as well, the emotional impact of leaving your family and your support systems behind. A lot of times people also start to feel like they're missing out on things. So look, while social media has made things a little easier in terms of research or researching various countries, it also connects you with the recruiters, your network internationally, and it gives you access to valuable information. But it's quite important to be accurately prepared and have realistic expectations. And to be honest, I believe that's where we really come in, having been to these countries where we help people move over, having been through those work environments. I've seen a lot of companies' environments. I've been through recruitment companies. I've sat in their offices in New Zealand, for example, and I've seen the way that they work, the cultural differences. It's worlds apart from where we are and how things are done here locally in South Africa. So it's not always the way you see it in social media, but
Mm.
I guess that's why we have the knowledge and we are here to support each and every one of them.
Absolutely. And, I see a lot of questions in the comments. It's kind of like the chicken or the egg conversation. What came first? And I want to actually put this to our visa guy, George. Um, so we know the answer, and I'll also add to it. But how does it work? Is it the visa first, then the job offer, or the other way around?
Right. So, and I see in the comments here, somebody asked as well. You cannot get a work visa without a job offer. It's just, you cannot have, they linked. What comes first is the visa, the job offer. And
Absolutely.
that job offer, let's use New Zealand, for example, because this is a very important question, and most people just don't understand this. When you get a job offer in New Zealand, right, you get that job offer because you are fully document ready. The employers want to know this. They want to know, if I employ you, when can you be here? Now, what you want to be saying to them is 4 days. You don't, I advise 3 weeks. But with that job offer, once you've signed it and sent it back, you then receive something called a job token. The token gets sent to me, and that is the ability to apply for a visa based on that job offer. So you will never get a visa without a job offer, unless it is something like a visitor visa, which anyone can get, as long as you can prove you're a bona fide applicant. It's very archaic. It's very old school. And I spoke about it this morning. Nobody does that anymore. What happened in the past, 10 years ago, it was perfectly advisable, because we didn't have technologies like Sam and Faraz and Amy have been speaking about. It was perfectly advisable that if somebody didn't get a job offer from their home country, that they would fly to New Zealand on a visitor visa, spend some time there, learn the lay of the lands, and meet with employers. Those days are gone. You get your
Yeah.
job offers through companies like Sam, and you don't leave the comfort of your home. But if you're doing it on your own, you can forget about it. You need the additional assistance. So in short, yes, you're not going anywhere. You're not getting a job. You're not landing that side without a visa. That is what comes after the job offer.
Absolutely. And, thank you for bringing that up about New Zealand, because New Zealand is a country that comes up a lot. But if we look at countries like Australia, Canada, UK, they all have different systems. There's something called skilled migration, where you can secure permanent residency without an employer, but that is a waiting game. You've got no specific timeline when you're going to get that residency. And it's also based off the country giving you an invite to apply for residency. So that's a big one. Then for Canada, there was an express entry program. A lot of people would be getting invites for permanent residency. But a lot has changed in the Canada immigration world, where they're trying to focus on, first of all, admin. They've got to process all those applications. I mean, at the moment, if you want a visitor's visa for Canada, you've got to wait about 6 months for processing. So it's really important that you plan ahead. But also, I'm getting questions about what are the requirements for a work visa? What are the documents that are needed? It depends on your country of choice, and it depends on your occupation. If you are a doctor, you need to be registered. If you are a trades professional, you need to have a skills assessment. It is so difficult to give you a blanket answer because everybody's profile is different. Everybody's needs are different, and we need to make sure that we are addressing your needs specifically. Okay.
Just to put it in timeline, Amy, to add to that,
Yes.
is so much that with the exception of one client of mine that's in actual fact received a job offer and we're applying for the visa, that took that they got their documents in 5 weeks. This is the exception to the rule. The amount of documents takes historically 5 months to get together of you working quite vigorously at it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, and it's like Amy said, applicant or occupation dependent. So a lot of people come and they say, oh, I've got a passport and a skills assessment. I'm like, okay, great. You've got 3% of the documents you need. No, you're not visa. So
absolutely. So I want to go into recruitment because this is obviously coming up quite a bit more. But we're going to talk about recruitment changes. So Emmanuel, you've asked a question now about, when you apply for a job, they want the applicant to be holding a visa locally. Now, this is something that you will come across in all your applications. So to my audience, please type in the comment box or the chat box, if you've been applying for jobs overseas, roughly how many jobs have you actually applied for? Is it 10? Is it 100? Is it 50? Is it over 1,000? How many actual jobs have you been applying for? And why is this important? We've had clients that are on our system that have George and 2,000 applications for our candidates. They've had multiple interviews. But the difference between us and a recruiter sharing a role is that you may apply for a job, but that does not mean that you are the best person for the job. What we do at Greener Pastures is we apply for jobs that you are the best person for. And we make sure that out of the options that we apply for on your behalf, that you will be prepared, you will be in the front. And what's great about this is having more than one job opportunity or job offer or job interview. It's great practice, but it also keeps your options open. And I mean, Faraz is brilliant. Faraz and Sam are brilliant with applications. They can average about, between 50 to 200 a week. So those applications this year, with our systems, our integrations, we are doing what you are doing in a year, 6 months, we are doing in a week. And it's from strategy and it's from experience. Awesome. So thank you for sharing your numbers. Let's go into some important, useful information. Sam, can you help explain to us the changes in CVs and the important national market? The big thing is about the change in CV. I think just before you go into it, a very important one is CVs have changed from hard copy, where you go in and you the CV, to an email. So that's a huge change. Sam, if you can take it off from there.
Indeed, it has. So before, it was a sales document of your skills, and it would be about 4 or 5 pages long, almost like a little book that you would open and you would read. This person matriculated here, they studied there, they started their first job here, and so we move on. And what's interesting is that with technology and our AI systems being able to read your information correctly, um, it happens that back in the day, we used to have typists that would type your information onto our systems so that when we present your CV to a client, it's uniform and it has a format and a structure that is easy for the client to understand why you're putting that candidate forward. Now, the buzzword has become ATS systems, and I laugh every single time I hear someone speak of an ATS compliant CV. So, applicant tracking system is actually a recruitment term whereby our software tells us how many times we've been in contact with each other, how many times I've sent you out for interview, how many notes I have on you, what your references have said. That's the actual meaning of an applicant tracking system. But what has changed is in the past, we'd have to have physical typists typing your CV into our database. The technology now allows for CV parsing. And that is the system's ability to read your information from your document, put it into our database in a way that we can then edit and send to the client after we've interviewed you.
Okay. Okay. So it's a system that changes the CV. Sorry, if you
It
can explain
actually
that again.
highlights the skills that, look, if a client says, I want a 30-year-old with a degree with 5 years work experience. Now immediately our system is looking for that information on your CV. Okay. And once it reads that information on your CV, it flags you as a match. Okay. Now, what's been happening is people are falling to a lot of false narratives out there where they say, no, my CV must only be a page long. So now we're seeing amazing works of art where we've got everything on one page. On the left-hand column is squeezed in all your education in small little summaries. We've got some chat GBT nonsense going on, but it's not actually answering our questions. It's not actually telling us what you do. And people say, no, but I see online it must be no more than 2 pages. So I'm trying to squeeze all my information into one section. And I'm like, wrong. Our softwares can't read different columns. Okay. It reads from left to right. And if you've done an amazing work of art because, back in the day you had to impress someone with your creativity and doing your CV, the reality is that a human isn't looking at that beautiful CV you made and all the pictures and graphics that you've put on there. It's reading from left to right. And so when it can't pick up the information it needs, it passes into our system as information incomplete. And a lot of people spend a lot of time and effort making pretty columns and pretty circles and rectangles with information in there all stuck together on one page, but it doesn't help because the software can't read it. So in this day and age, what recruiters want to know is, what do you do? People think that their name must be the biggest thing on the document. Incorrect. If you are an accountant, we want to see accountant, then your name, location, your availability, what is your cost to company or expected cost to company. Then we want to know in the summary, based according to what we've posted as a job ad, okay, so you're an accountant, you have 5 years experience, you have a degree. Cool. Now I want to read more. And it's the same with our softwares. The software is designed to hunt for that information on your CV to present you as a shortlisted candidate.
Straight to the point, making it a clear impression about what you do. The pictures, the colors, the frills, all the designs, you're not doing yourself a favor. I've worked with Sam and Faraz for a while now, and I've seen different CV formats throughout my time with them, but it's always been very easy to read, very clear. And it's what the employers are looking for. They want to know that you're the right person for the job. They don't want to know what your favorite color is. So that's an important factor. Thank you, Sam, for sharing that. For us, while we're talking about job applications, because you are our job application king, how many job applications do you think people should be doing, and how can they improve their job applications? What can they do to make it actually count for them?
So look, to be completely and brutally honest with you, there's no perfect number. But of course, quality is far more important than quantity. So, I mean, if you're sending 10 to 20 targeted applications per week with tailored CVs and, of course, your optimized social profiles, that's your LinkedIn, your Seek, Indeed, or whichever social profile it may be, then of course that's more effective than just blindly mass applying for hundreds of roles and you're not sure exactly what's going to happen. But of course, to improve the process, and it's important to actually focus on applying for roles, I mean, that's aligned to your actual experience and your skill set, your CV being tailored, and of course your profiles being optimized to match the job requirements and the keywords as well. So a lot of times people, for example, if they are required to work in customer service as part of a team, then a lot of people will go and say at the top of their CV, I am self-managed and I can work alone and I've got a lot of experience, but you're not understanding exactly what the market is looking for in another country in that specific sector. Another part of that process would be networking and engaging with the recruiters directly on LinkedIn. You'd also look at following up professionally after applications, and of course, focusing on those quality applications than just only focusing on easy apply. So look, while easy apply does cut a lot of time down, some recruiters do look at those CVs. You also need to look at those where they ask for more specific information. And that's where the challenge comes in. Some applications can run for a half an hour because in some cases you have to retype your CV. There's no copy and paste functions on, for example, some of the New Zealand company websites. So, I mean, from a recruiter's perspective, candidates who actually apply with a strategy and, of course, they're presenting themselves in a professional manner, usually it stands out a lot quicker. And like Sam said, if your CV is drafted correctly, I mean, a recruiter will spend 10 to 15 seconds skimming the CV to say, in that first 10 to 15 seconds, can you decide from your CV as it stands? What do you do, and if you meet certain criteria, and having hundreds of CVs a day to filter through, and you'd rather just use the AI, and the AI will just pull specific words out. So if it's drafted with certain or regular jargon that's used in that country's work environment, and of course, if the correct skill sets are and skills specifically are highlighted at the top of the CV, those are some of the things you would look at, and those are some of the things that the AI would pinpoint, and of course, recruiters would pick up when skimming your CV in that first 10 to 15 seconds.
Absolutely. And like when you go through the easy apply option on LinkedIn, it's not helping you if your LinkedIn profile is not complete. One of the big things I've noticed with people on LinkedIn is they put where they've worked, but they don't put in any of what they've done at that company. And LinkedIn is very much like a search Google platform or filter, like ATS systems or just Google in general, but it's for people and professionals. So if you are not using LinkedIn properly, doesn't matter how many job applications you're doing, you could be disadvantaging yourself. So that's something to keep in mind. With regards to our process, so we are coming closer to the end. So any further questions, please do put in our chat box. But what do you guys think so far out of this process? What do you think is more stressful, the job interviews or the visa process? I'm interested to hear your input here. And while we get into this, I'm going to ask some general questions for Sam, Faraz, and George. But with Greener Pastures, we have a 3-stage process. We keep it simple, but we hold your hand throughout the process. So the first stage has got to do with documentation. We help verify your skills. We help build your documentation so that you are prepared to the employer. You can tell the employer when you're able to move over. We take the fear away from you. We take the stress away from you with the process. We give you consistent updates, and we make sure that you can see what you're putting in, and we can keep strategizing and changing the process as we go along. With regards to documents, you guys have put down that you like New Zealand, Australia, USA. You need to know your requirements. Each country, each occupation, there's different requirements throughout the process. With regards to job applications, we at Greener Pastures, we want to expose you. Employers like to see that you've put effort in. It takes the risk off of them. So at the end of the day, being document ready, having the right profile, being optimized. I mean, Sam and Faraz have changed some incredible clients' lives. We had a client who signed on, our first ever client at Greener Pastures, in December 2024 for New Zealand. In March 2025, up and ready to move to the Netherlands. They got found on LinkedIn because we redid their profile correctly. They got a job of their dreams, and they've been there for over a year now. Incredible candidates and an incredible story. And that can be you if you are ready to get moving with the process. Being document ready helps make the visa applications smoother. So those who are fearful for the visa process, you don't need to be. We are fully qualified immigration advisor. George, we've got the skill set, we've got the documents, the process, the network to help simplify this process for you. So opportunity favors the prepared. So I'm going to move on to our favorite topic, immigration, that everyone is scared of. And George, our immigration guy, I've got quite a few questions for you. So first of all, George, what documents are overlooked that can seriously delay applications?
There's so many. A lot of people, when it comes to occupational registration, don't know they need it. For instance, something as simple as IQA, don't know I need it. Oh gosh, I don't have a police clearance yet. If you go through the normal channels, it's 8 weeks. That's so many independent, tiny fluid factors all the time. And you got to be on top of it. But with us, what we do is, because we have such a close relationship with each and every one of our clients, we're speaking 2 or 3 times a week. I have clients of mine in this webinar right now, and they can attest to that. Things change exceptionally fast. And how prepared are you for those changes? We've had a very big curveball that was thrown at us, released yesterday morning. Now, I'm busy, as I mentioned, applying for a visa application for those clients that have literally only been working with us for 6 weeks and got the job offer. If we are not able to apply within the next 4 days, by the 1st of June, those applicants now need, or that main applicant now needs, an English test. Things change incredibly quickly. You need somebody who's got his finger or their finger on the pulse to ensure that you can factor these things in. Timing is critical.
100%. And just based off timing, how early should someone begin preparing documents before applying for jobs or visas?
No less than 6 months, because that's how long it's going to take you to get the documents together. Nobody is working 4 or 5 hours a day on their documents. No one, except those clients that got so document ready so quickly. No one's doing that, guys. You're living your lives. You've got everyday things. You've got kids to pick up, food to make, kids to drop off at school in the mornings. Nobody is doing those hours per day. So if you're only able to do half an hour or an hour every single day, be prepared that this is going to take you 6 months. So if you want to move in January, if you want to be there in January, you should be starting now.
Absolutely. And just to change the kind of topic a little bit. So we take away the candidate. Now we're talking about the employer. What kind of hoops does an employer have to go through to sponsor a foreigner? And what does the sponsorship mean?
Yeah, so they have to go through quite a bit. It's not just, hello, I'm sponsoring now, and you're going to come over and work for us, and everything's going to be great. And when it comes to New Zealand specifically, you are exceptionally protected as a employee. To be able to grant the job token that I mentioned earlier, you need to apply for this. You need to apply to be an accredited employer, which means that you are going to take responsibility for things like your employee. You are not going to employ somebody, they're going to move over there and your company is going to close in the next 6 weeks. You have to prove the stability and the longevity of your own company just to be able to hire that employee. The word sponsorship, oh gosh, kills me every single day. Again, it goes back to the ability to meet the government or the Department of Home Affairs in Australia's requirements to employ foreigners. You can't just, any company, just say, okay, great, I can't find a local now and employ somebody from overseas. You jump through as an employer hoops second to none, more so than what I think the candidates actually have to jump through. And guys, the most important thing is that sponsorship does not mean that the employer's paying your costs. They don't do that. I've had in my 12-year career one single candidate where this has ever happened. It just does not happen. Sponsorship means that the employer is meeting requirements with the Department of Home Affairs to allow them to employ you. And that's it. There is nothing else to it, guys. So please, if you think that sponsorship means that you're going to get everything paid, you have to adjust your thinking and do a little bit more research. This is not going to happen.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's, again, a topic that comes up all the time. We are an immigration project management company, Greener Pastures. We help you, we connect you, we put you in the right light so that you can get your opportunity overseas. But you have to be financially ready for the process. Luckily, the process doesn't happen overnight. I know George, Sam, and Faraz have that 6-week client, but some of the times, you know, the average timeline can be, 12 to 18 months. It does depend on you, your occupation, the country, the processing times. There's so many things to keep in mind. And this is why we recommend having a consultation with us at Greener Pastures. We'll go through your global options. We'll answer all these questions. I know Stephen has asked twice about a validity period for police clearance and medicals. I know for a police clearance, it's 6 months, and for medicals, it's 3 months. So why would somebody, I mean, George, we ask our clients to get police clearances, and then we can't really guarantee when they're going to have a job offer. So what can we do if the police clearance doesn't come out right? Like, why should we get it so early? What is your advice there?
It's a fine balance, and this goes again about whose fingers are on the pulse. We know how far you are with the documents, right? Because we're in your folder every single day. We're talking 2 or 3 times a week, so we know whether you're job ready or document ready or not. When you hit your first round of interviews, or when you are fully document ready for a police clearance, I would say then go do the police clearance, because it takes 8 weeks to issue, and then you still have the 6 months thereafter. So I would say go do that. Then medicals, well, I only supply a medical after immigration asks me for it because it's only valid for 3 months. So what we do is we submit an application without a medical, and a couple of days later, immigration says, hey, guys, listen, we'd like you to go for a medical. Here's your HR number that you book with an approved panel physician. Go forth. And again, with it being an approved panel physician, that medical information gets sent directly to immigration with that code linked to your application. So the only one that's tricky is police clearances. And the reality is we tell you when to go do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, Tabiso's asked here about went through the process for a medical for Saudi Arabia. Can I use that same medical for Australia and New Zealand?
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
No.
It has to be done at an approved panel physician for New Zealand. There are heaps of them all over the world. So you have to go. The medical entails, they want to know that you are of good health and of health. They want to know that you don't, especially all of Africa, we're on a high incidence of TB. They want to know that you don't have TB. They want to check you for Hep B and C. HIV, nobody cares about anymore. It doesn't even get tested. So these are things that the average person doesn't know, but what we do. So when you're in that consultation, we will ask you, are there any health-related issues we should know about? Do you have any mental illness in the family? Are your children okay? Or is there any intellectual disabilities? What medication are you on? What chronic illnesses do you have? The Immigration Ops Manual is very specific about these conditions. If you come and you tell us that we've got blood pressure, thyroid, cholesterol, asthma, we're not going to worry. We're going to say to you, don't worry, that's cool. If you come and you say, I've got Parkinson's, I've got cerebral palsy in the family, I've got motor neuron disease, hepatic problems, renal issues, we're going to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's have a look at this further before you carry on. So don't fall into the trap of spending money until you know you have the clear pathway. And health and character is part of the pathway.
100%. So I see some of the questions are coming through that are quite specific. It's not really relevant to get a medical now until you have a job offer. You know, there's a time, there's a place, there's a process to follow. With Greener Pastures, I've emailed all the people who have registered about our consultation. In those consultations, I don't offer any advice. I'm not allowed to. We look at the general process of your profile and what country process would best suit you. And then we'll pass you on to the immigration advisor. But we hold you accountable, consistently networking. I'm at events all over South Africa, constantly growing the international network, so that it improves opportunities for you. Our communication is clear. You won't ever find yourself going, what is going on with my process? We are constantly updating you about different parts of the process. I just want to touch on LinkedIn for a second. So I'm not sure if anybody knows, there's a podcast called Diary of a CEO. The owner is Stephen Bartlett, and he's come out with this concept of the 5 buckets of life. Now, the 5 buckets are knowledge, skill, network, resources, and reputation. If your bucket is overflowing, you move on to the next bucket, but you start with knowledge. So your LinkedIn profiles is showcasing your knowledge through your skills, and you're building a network from that information. That network will create resources. Those resources are job opportunities, partnership options, collaboration. They are resources that will grow your reputation. So your reputation is how you get headhunted. Now, LinkedIn is a platform that goes hand in hand with job applications. If you do not have a LinkedIn profile, if you're not using it accurately, you are wasting your time in this process. And we have offered a LinkedIn training special for May. It is in those emails that has been sent out. If you are serious about moving along with your immigration process, I highly recommend a consultation. From a consultation, we'll give you your options. When you get started, then we'll move you along with your immigration advisor, your recruitment team, and then we go into your relocations. So we are getting closer to the end here. Just with regards to questions, I know Damien's asked about qualification, verification. SAQA is only for South Africa. So if you get a SAQA and you want to send it to New Zealand or Australia, it's only recognized in South Africa. It's a South African qualification assessment. Australia has different assessing authorities for different occupations. So there's not one assessing authority. I know with Canada, people use WES, World Education Services. It's dependent on your occupation. If you are a lawyer, you should not use WES. So again, I want to just bring in the highlight of everybody's role is different. You need an English test for most countries. Your age is important. There is cutoff ages for residency. Also, employers look at your age and go, how tech savvy are you if you were to come into a role at 65? And also, how long can you work in that country or in that position based off your age before you are forced to retire? So there's lots of things to consider. Also, with Australia, if you look at skilled migration, if you are a single applicant, you can get 10 points. If you have a partner, your partner can help you with your points based off what is their occupation. Is it also a skill shortage? Have they got a skills assessment? Have they got an English test? And all these things you can do right now. You can start preparing, you can book a consultation, we can make the changes that will better your future over here. So Sam, Faraz, and George, don't all answer at once, but why do you think people are immigrating today? Let's maybe start with Sam.
In a country where unemployment is rising and rising, people want to be able to provide for their families and their children. They also want their children to be able to provide for themselves and their children. So it's not a question of why immigrate, it's a question of where do I get long-term employment and stability for my family?
Absolutely. Faraz?
So look, I think it has a lot to do with politics and current events as well. I mean, like Sam said, for example, South Africa alone, we've got, what is it now, a 26% unemployment rate. Aside from that, if you look at the amount of corruption that's been going on, not to put us in the wrong light, but if you look at the amount of corruption that's going on and the funds that could have been used to create opportunities, a lot of people are getting frustrated, especially when it comes to service delivery, opportunities. And as time is going locally, we are seeing a lot of poor graduates and rich criminals. And it's quite concerning for a lot of people. And people are looking at going to where they can find an opportunity where these graduates can find those opportunities and prosper, as opposed to sitting and being unemployed or doing something that's outside of their scope when they've focused their education, their career, and their passion to doing what they love.
Absolutely. You don't want to tell your child that they can't be a gymnast because there's no jobs for them. You want to give them the dream.
Yes.
You want to fuel that. George?
I feel like part of the furniture in immigration.
Mm,
It's hands down been one form or another of security. Whether it's actual safety, it plays a huge role, job security, future security, children's security. Ask yourself this question. If you were to lose your job today, would you be employed tomorrow or the week thereafter in any African country? Most likely not. Now, if that's
Yeah.
the case for you right now, can you imagine in 10 years or 15 years from now when your little ones are your age or 18, finish with school and going to go try to find work? If you can't effectively say that you'll find work within the first week of being unemployed, what is your children's chances? The ability
100%.
to walk outside, be safe, come in when the street lights come on. Heck, we don't even have street lights anymore. They're gone or they don't work. You know, that is what a human being wants for themselves and for their children. And this is what those countries offer.
Absolutely. Thank you, George. So I always ask my clients when they start a consultation, why are you looking at immigrating? And the most important answer, or the frequent answer I get, is they're looking for greener pastures. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Please feel free to email us. We are based in South Africa. Share your feedback, but have a great evening. And thank you so much to George, Faraz, and Sam. You guys have been awesome tonight.
Welcome.